Charles. So, I haven't done a video in quite some time, and you can see I'm here at the house. I had a bit of an incident in the woods this year, and I thought it was at least owed to you guys who follow to hear the story. So I was bear hunting, as you guys could tell from the videos, and there was a big bear coming into a bait that I was baiting, but it wasn't my stand. It was two friends were using this stand, and one of the friends went in and set up the stand and the screw-in tree pegs and that kind of stuff. But those friends don't tend to use the safety line, and this stand, which they had each only hunted, I think, maybe one time, they hadn't put a safety line in. Now this big bear was coming in. It was, over 300 pounds certainly. How much bigger than that? I'm always careful not to make it sound bigger, like a bigger bear than it was. But they weren't going to be able to get up there for a week to 10 days to hunt that bear. So they asked me if I was interested, and of course, an opportunity at a big bear. I definitely went in. It was for one night. I took in a bow line and those kinds of things, and climbed my way up, hooked in with my harness, safety harness, and pulled my bow up, hunted, saw a bear, chose to pass on him because he wasn't the bear I was there to take. So the evening goes by, it gets quite dark, and I let my bow down. I put my Hunter Orange back on. This was before rifle season, so I was able to not wear my Hunter Orange while in the stand. And then put my backpack on, unhooked, and put my feet on the tree pegs, and had my left hand on the seat of the what do you want to call it, the seat of the stand, and then my right hand was holding on here. And when I reached down with my left hand and looking down with my headlamp, because I was unfamiliar where everything was, it had been the first time I'd been in that stand, I looked down and this broke away. And my feet were probably 8 or so feet up, so I mean, depends how you look at it. Felt like an awful long drop. And I hit the ground square on my back. I took the wind out of myself, and you see the shooting stars and all that stuff when you're trying to catch your breath, your teeth go numb. I was certain that I did not hit my head, so I knew that it was my breath. So being at a bear bait, I did choose to sort of take a moment, make sure I caught my breath. I didn't want to pass out. I did a quick check, wiggled my toes, wiggled my fingers, moved my legs a little bit, and then always the one that's hard to do is move your neck to make sure that's, everything's okay. Did that. Felt pretty good, had my breath back, went to sit up, and my left arm stayed on the ground. So I sat up, and this arm came up, and the other arm, the shoulder moved, but right about here, I broke my humerus, and I might throw in the video. And it's funny now. It wasn't too funny then, but I'll throw a picture of the x-ray in. And you'll understand why my hand and forearm that were still on the ground when I sat up. I immediately realized that I had snapped my humerus completely in half. Not like a fracture, but like just a complete break. And realized that I probably needed to move quickly for fear that maybe, what's the word I'm looking for here? What do they call that? You guys know what I'm talking about. What do they call that? It's not panic. Oh my goodness, crazy. Whatever it is where you go, shock. Thank you. When you go into shock. I wanted to be sure that didn't happen. So I made a decision right there and then to walk out, at least to get to a clear-cut area away from the bait. So I did just that. I managed to get myself up and walk out, pretty uneven terrain in all honesty. And I just thought that if something was going to happen, it'd be better off that I be out away from the bait, out in the clear cut. Easier to find me, you know. So when I sat up, I got my phone out. I called my hunting buddy who was hunting up in the area. His phone wasn't off silent yet, and so I left a message for him. I managed to get out probably 30, 40 meters maybe away from the stand. Hung up that phone call. Felt like it was important for me to try and walk as close to the truck as I could. It was about, probably another 50 or 60 meters to the road, the logging road, through the clear cut. So I made another phone call to another buddy who knew where I was and knew how to reach out to my hunting partner who was up there that weekend. And so I called him, asked him to make sure that he continuously called our friend to make sure that he knew that he had to come and get me, and that I may or may not make it to the truck, because I knew my next phone call was going to be to the 911, to emergency services, in order to have them. And once you're on the phone with them, of course, you can't hang up or make other phone calls. So I wanted to be sure that there was somebody who was making a phone call to my hunting buddy. Made the phone call to 911, walked down the logging road. It was pretty steep uphill. At that point, I was starting to slip. I'm not gonna lie, and we can debate whether or not I should have stopped walking or not. Ended up, I think I did the best thing. I managed to get back to the truck. I came close to passing out, I'm not gonna lie. I put down the tailgate in the truck, and I just laid down as I was talking to 911. And at certain points during that phone call, I came very close to losing consciousness. But once I was in the truck bed for a while, and I managed to just stay still long enough and know that people were on their way, I don't think that I necessarily went into shock. But I don't know much about it. It might be all kinds of degrees. But so anyway, they sent everybody out. They got me. My hunting buddy showed up fairly soon after I'd gotten back to the truck. Ambulance showed up with a search and rescue and all them, and I cannot emphasize enough how important and what a great job these guys did. I mean, I was in the woods, and they used my cell phone for the GPS. They then reaffirmed and confirmed with me that it was a left off here, and then the second left on the road, and then don't take the fork, and are you right about here? And they did a very, very good job. They kept me calm. At the same time, they were collecting information the whole time to make sure that they were going to be able to find me, and they did. Absolutely incredible job. I want to thank them. The emergency technician, I guess, or the guy that was in the ambulance, was very good. He was actually going to try and save my harness and my hunting jacket. He was going to try to remove them without having to cut them. I appreciated it. I told him that I appreciated it, but that if he tried to take that arm out there, I was going to punch him in the snosh. And he laughed, and I laughed. There was just no way to do it. So I wish I had that hunting jacket back and the harness. I love that harness. But in the end, it was the right choice. Don't argue. If you're ever in a situation like that, make it as easy on them as you can, because it's all about trying to make you comfortable and do what's best for you. The idea of moving that around, I knew that it was completely broken. I didn't want it tearing up and all that, so I got them to cut it off. And it's been a hard road since. So I think it was 6 sits in a bear stand before I had the fall. All of my other stands have safety lines. I was going in for one night to a stand that wasn't mine, and I would have climbed up without a safety line. If I had a set of safety line up and I knew I was only going to hunt it one time, I may have untied it and taken the safety line with me. I mean, in retrospect, I'd love to say that I would have anticipated leaving them the safety line for the rest of the season. I don't know. It's hard to say. I know now I'm never going to climb a stand without a safety line again. Um, but that's easy for me to say because I've, you know, that rock that I hit that snapped this arm in half was, what, 10 inches from my spine? Food for thought. If you're not using a safety line, you know, anybody who has been using one for a while would say that I was insane for climbing a tree without one. I get it. I'm only here, I'm not calling the rest of you crazy or stupid. I'm only begging that maybe you give it some consideration in the cost of safety lines for the number of stands you might have. It's well worth it. It's so well worth it. I've actually, 1 week later, I had a friend, an acquaintance, step into his tree stand, same thing, he went to hook up and the stand let go from underneath him. Now, he claims that he was very fortunate that it was all softwood trees underneath him and it broke his fall and he didn't have any injuries of any kind. But again, why? Why for the cost of making them yourself? I made mine. You know, it cost me very, very little. It wasn't $20 a line in order to set that up. Mind you, I suppose I did win the rope that I used for the safety line, so it may have been more cost than that. But I think you can buy them for 40 bucks Canadian. Right? That's like $2.50 American. That's a Canadian joke. Yeah, do yourselves a favor. Consider it. You know, get them for Christmas. Get them for your birthday. You got a long time to save up a few, you know, dollars to get them for next season. If you don't have them already. If you do have them already, I applaud you. Keep them, you know, don't leave them in all season, obviously, all this stuff. You know, you want to keep them in the best condition you can along with your stands and everything. But that's my story. I wanted to share it with you guys. It's embarrassing that I'm almost 9 weeks and I'm still not even close to healed. Not even close. It's still a complete break. We find out if I'm going to need surgery in order to help it heal. But my season was over very, very quickly, and potentially could have all been, you know, better had I made a better decision about getting a safety line in that tree. So learn from my mistakes, please. I hate hearing these stories about others, and if I can do anything to share my story to help, I hope that you guys can learn from it. As they say, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. A smart man learns from his own mistakes. I hope you're all wise men and learn from the mistakes made by not only me, but too many others. The number of hunters that I've spoken with who have given me their stories about them falling, perhaps not as high, not with as serious an injury, but you know, once you're starting to share your story, you know, guys open up about the stories that they've had, and it's too many of us. It really is too many of us. So I hope, again, I don't care what kind of safety line it is, but go looking for them. Try to find one. If you're not comfortable making your own, you can buy them pretty simple at any hunting store, outfitter store. Anyway, that's all I'm going to share for now. I have managed to go out and take some people out hunting, new hunters, go out for a couple of days and stumble around the woods and help them find sign and where to set up and that sort of stuff. So I've managed to keep myself a little busy. Not the same as hunting yourself, but you know, this isn't going to keep me out of the woods, that's for sure. And I will have more videos coming. I actually just bought a new recurve bow that I was going to shoot at Nationals next year, and I was going to go through the setup and everything that for you guys. So that's going to be a little bit later once I start to go through some rehab, getting that bow set up and tuned to hopefully shoot at Nationals in August. That's up in the air, obviously, but we'll see how surgery goes if I do need to have the surgery. So keep tuned. I made it out, and I've learned from it, and you'll see more videos from me really, really soon. Just haven't had all that much opportunity to make any sort of fun videos. So for any of you that were wondering why new videos weren't being put up, that's the reason. I fell out of a tree. Oh, man. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. If you have any questions or anything like that, you know, comment away. And I hope that I hope to see a lot of guys post videos about how a safety line helped them from hitting the ground. And if you have a story actually about a safety line working for you, actually, I'd really like to hear it. I would really like to hear about, you know, we hear about the guys who didn't use safety lines, but maybe we're not hearing enough about the stories about the guys who are using safety lines, and how that worked. Maybe that's what we need. We need a couple of positive stories about the outcomes using a safety line to help wake up to the use of them. So anyway, if you have any, I hope I hear from you. Anyway, talk soon. To the woods.